You raise a clear point, they do not answer it. They look at you and say, "Why are you getting so defensive?" That sentence is not a reply. It is a diversion. The issue was what they did, what they said, or what they failed to explain. Now the issue is your reaction. Most people lose control right here. They say, "I'm not defensive." They explain their tone. They speak faster. They try to prove they are calm. And every extra word makes the label look more believable. Do this instead. Say, "I'm addressing the point directly." What specifically is incorrect? Then stop. Do not explain the sentence. Do not soften it. Do not rush to fill the silence. You just moved the conversation back to the only place that matters. The point. This video will show you why the word defensive is such an effective manipulation tactic, how to block tone policing, and when to end a conversation that refuses to stay honest. The goal is not to sound emotionless. The goal is to stop defending your reaction while they avoid their behavior. Calling someone defensive can be accurate, but it can also be psychological manipulation. The difference is simple. A sincere person uses the word to improve the conversation. A manipulative person uses it to escape the conversation. You ask why the deadline was missed. They say you are defensive. You ask why their story changed. They say you are getting emotional. You object to a public joke. They say you can't take criticism. Notice the mechanism. The original issue requires an answer. The label requires nothing. Defensive is vague enough to sound intelligent, but broad enough to trap you. If you deny it, they say your denial proves it. If you explain yourself, they say the long explanation proves it. If you become angry, they point at your anger. If you go silent, the original issue disappears. This is the label trap. It turns your emotional state into evidence, while their behavior leaves the room untouched. That is why trying to prove you are not defensive is usually a losing move. You have accepted an assignment that was never yours. Your job is not to prove that your face, voice, or posture meets their standard. Your job is to decide whether the point you raised is true. A label does not refute a fact. A comment about your tone does not answer a question. An opinion about your emotional state does not erase a contradiction. Once you understand that, the conversation becomes much easier. You stop asking, "How do I look calm?" You start asking, "Did they answer the point?" That one question exposes most emotional manipulation immediately. The first counter is the specificity reset. Use it when they call you defensive instead of identifying what is wrong with your argument. Say, "I'm addressing the point directly." What specifically is incorrect? This line works because it does three things at once. First, it refuses the diagnosis. You do not say, "I am calm." You do not say, "I am not defensive." You simply state what you are doing. You are addressing the point. Second, it allows disagreement. That matters. You are not demanding that they agree with you. You are giving them a clean opportunity to challenge your facts, logic, or conclusion. Third, it makes them become specific. Specificity is expensive. A vague accusation can be delivered in 1 second. A real objection requires them to name the sentence, fact, or assumption they believe is wrong. Imagine a workplace meeting. You say, "The deadline changed after the team approved the original plan." Your coworker says, "You're getting defensive." The weak response is, "No, I'm not. I'm just trying to explain." Now you are explaining yourself instead of the timeline. The stronger response is, "Which part of what I said is incorrect?" Now the room has a clear standard. Either they identify the error, or they reveal that the label was being used as cover. The same method works in a relationship. You say, "Yesterday you said one thing. Today you are saying something different." They respond, "Why are you so defensive?" You say, "I'm pointing out the inconsistency." Which part is inaccurate? No speech, no character defense, no emotional trial. Just the claim. That is how to respond to manipulation without becoming trapped inside it. When the specificity reset works, some people change tactics. They stop saying you are defensive. They start attacking your delivery. Calm down. It's the way you're saying it. I would answer you if you were not so emotional. This is tone policing. The message is simple. Your point will only be considered if you present it in a way that makes them comfortable. Do not accept that condition automatically. Use the tone firewall. Say, "We can discuss my tone after you answer the question." Or, when you need a harder version, "My tone does not change the point." Address the claim. The order matters. You are not saying tone never matters. Sometimes it does. You are saying it cannot be used as a trapdoor under the issue. First, answer the substance. Then, if necessary, discuss delivery. This is especially useful with family. You say, "You made that comment in front of everyone." They reply, "Listen to your tone." You answer, "We can discuss my tone after you address what was said." Now the sequence is protected: behavior first, reaction second. The same rule applies in arguments at work or with friends. Do not let someone use your volume, expression, or frustration as a substitute for an answer. And do not sabotage the method by shouting the line. The words only work when the delivery matches the structure: low voice, normal speed. No sarcasm, no eye roll. This is how to stay calm in an argument without becoming passive. You are not pretending to feel nothing. You are preventing your emotion from being used as an escape route. Now comes the part most people avoid. Some conversations are not failing because you have not found the perfect sentence. They are failing because the other person has no intention of addressing the issue. You redirect once. They call you defensive. You ask for specifics. They attack your tone. You return to the question. They analyze your personality. At that point, continuing is not clarity. It is participation in a loop. Use the clean exit, say. If you're not willing to address the point, there's nothing useful to continue. Then end the exchange. Do not add a final insult. Do not deliver a closing argument. Do not send 6 paragraphs later. A clean exit is powerful because it removes the stage. This is also how to stop over-explaining. You stop believing that one more sentence will force honesty from someone committed to avoidance. Use a simple rule: 1 redirect, 1 clarification. Then decide whether the conversation deserves more access. At work, that may mean documenting the facts and returning to the decision later. In a relationship, it may mean ending the conversation until the question can be answered directly. With family, it may mean saying, "We are not discussing my personality. We are discussing what happened." In a friend group, it may mean refusing to defend yourself in front of an audience that has already accepted the distraction. How to deal with manipulators is not about producing endless, clever lines. It is about recognizing when language is being used to create progress, and when it is being used to create fog. A productive person may disagree with you. They may challenge your facts. They may even criticize your tone after answering the issue. But they stay connected to the subject. A manipulative person keeps moving the subject until you are the only thing left on trial. That is when you leave the courtroom. Here is the deeper rule. Being unbothered does not mean you never feel anger. It does not mean your voice never changes. It does not mean every reaction is perfect. It means you refuse to defend irrelevant accusations while the real issue remains unanswered. When they call you defensive, check the structure. Did they address the point? Did they identify what was incorrect? Did they answer the question? Or did they simply move the spotlight onto you? That distinction protects you from a large category of manipulation tactics. You no longer need to win a debate about your emotional state. You no longer need to perform calmness for someone who benefits from calling you unstable. You no longer hand them 10 explanations they can cut apart and use against you. You return to the point. You require specificity. You protect the order of the conversation, and when the loop becomes obvious, you stop. Remember the 3 responses. I'm addressing the point directly. What specifically is incorrect? We can discuss my tone after you answer the question. If you're not willing to address the point, there's nothing useful to continue. Do not memorize them as comebacks. Understand the system behind them. The person who controls the subject controls the conversation. The moment you stop defending your reaction, their diversion loses oxygen. To score to the unbothered edge, if you want more practical breakdowns of psychological manipulation, emotional control, and social power, build emotional armor, stay calm, become impossible to control.